Video is brought to you by BetUS. Use promo code Iceman. You're going to get 125 deposit bonus, matching your initial deposit. All the other promo codes on their website is a split between casino and sports. If you use promo code Iceman, that's 125% all sports. And we've been on a roll lately, so don't be a fool. Use BetUS. So, huge main event coming this weekend. This is a big one. UFC 276. We got 2 title fights, but before we get into it, I'm just gonna do a little quick recap of last week's UFC. Man, amazing card. If you guys watched our YouTube, we went 8 for 11. Should have been 8 for 10, but the Rodolfo Viera pick, I told you I was biased. I'm a huge Rodolfo Viera fan from back in the day in jiu-jitsu. I used to watch him as a kid, so I was a huge Rodolfo fan. Like I said, I was biased on that one, but I didn't bet on it. But the bets I did make, I placed on my Instagram. We went 6 for 7 on our bets. Umar Nurmagomedov by finish fucked me, but it is what it is. We still went 6 out of 7. People were asking me, they're like, man, why aren't you posting these bets on YouTube? I was like, bro, these aren't even out yet, like I'm making my video a week before. Like this video, I'm dropping a week before or 6 days before, right? And on my website, for example, I don't have method of victories for the entire card, right? Like on my betting website, there's only method of victory for the Adesanya fight and the Holloway Volkanovski fight. So just the co-main and the main. So even if I wanted to tell you, post my bet and be like, hey, I'm feeling Sean O'Malley by decision or whatever it may be, I don't even know the odds on my website and they're not even dropped. So I'm not even able to post those until later on during the week. And, sometimes I'm busy. I can't make a video or whatever, but I try, I'll try to post it maybe on my IG. But let's get into this card. So let's start from the beginning. And we got a pretty stacked card here. So let's start with Brad Tavares versus Driccus du Plessis. Driccus du Plessis, he's on a 4-fight win streak. He's 2 straight wins in the UFC. Well, I remember he knocked out that Marcus Perez guy with the left hook, and then he beat Trevin Giles. However, he had a bunch of canceled bouts. He had like 4 or 5 fights that he was supposed to have, and they just kept getting canceled and canceled. And now he's fighting Brad Tavares, which I think they're trying to do again, because I think this fight got canceled before. And Brad Tavares is a guy who's been around since a long time. I mean, his fights, he's fought the who's who, from the Yoel Romero's to the Izzy Adesanya's, to the Robert Whitakers, right? But this guy, so his last 4 fights, he's 2-2. He lost to Adesanya, and he got knocked out by that vicious left front high kick by Edmund Shabazian. And then after that, he won against Antonio Carlos Jr., Shoeface, and I remember he won a split decision over Omari Akhmedov, both guys who actually have left the UFC. And now he's taken on Driccus du Plessis. And if you notice, most of Brad Tavares' wins, like I think 6 of his last 7 wins are all decisions. And this Driccus guy's a finisher. So this is going to be an interesting fight. When I first saw the matchup, I was like, you know what, I'm favoring Driccus du Plessis on this one. But then the more I started looking into it, I'm like, man, Brad Tavares is only losing to really good guys, However, I think Brad Tavares is sort of on his way out, and just I'm going to go with Driccus du Plessis on this one. But that one's not a guaranteed at all. Up next, we got the middleweights, Uriah Hall, Andre Muniz. Is this on the prelims? Why is this on the prelims? Jeez, this is a good fight, man. Andre Muniz is a monster, dude. This guy hasn't lost a fight since 2016, and that fight he did lose in 2016 was against that Azamat Mirzakhanov guy, who's like psychopath, undefeated right now still. And he's just been on a roll. Last 6 years, he's just been finishing people. And I think Uriah Hall's good. I mean, he lost his last fight to Sean Strickland, and before that, he beat Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, the broken leg, of course, with Chris Weidman. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Andre Muniz on this one. I think I think Uriah Hall's probably the better striker. However, if this fight goes to the ground, which I think it probably will, Andre Muniz has just some wicked jiu-jitsu, bro. This guy's been submitting everybody. Fucking broke Jacare's arm, so I'm going with Andre Muniz on that one. Next, Donald Cerrone. He's back. No Joe Lozon, though. This is Jim Miller, the rematch. Jim Miller, huge favorite, minus 220 on here. Jeez. That is interesting because their first fight, obviously, was, I believe, 8 years ago. Donald Cerrone knocked him out pretty viciously with a head kick. He's got a significant height advantage over Jim Miller. And his striking is way better than Jim Miller's is. But, Donald Cerrone hasn't been the same Donald Cerrone, right? Like, he's got, 6 or losses in his last 7 fights or something. Like, he hasn't been looking good. And then Jim Miller, he's got some wins over. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, but they're to guys that are relatively no-namers compared to a Jim Miller. But this is interesting. I see Jim Miller being a huge favorite over Donald Cerrone. That's very surprising. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the over on this one. I think this fight is probably going to go the distance. I just have a feeling. I don't think Jim Miller is going to be able to knock out Cerrone. And I think Donald Cerrone's on the tail end of his career, and I think it's going to go the distance. I have a feeling Joe Lozon pulled out of that fight just to fuck with Cerrone, because Cerrone pulled out on Joe Lozon day of, and then Joe Lozon pulled out on Donald Cerrone day of, like a few weeks after. So I think there's some weird shit going on there. But that's interesting seeing Jim Miller minus 220. I don't know if I agree with that. Donald Cerrone could be a live dog, and he's already beat Jim Miller once. I know it was a while ago, but as a fighter, that doesn't leave your head, Next, we got a guy they called the future, Ian Garry. A lot of hype behind him, but it hasn't been looking too good. I mean, I bet on him his last fight when he fought Darian Weeks. It was not impressive. I mean, he won the fight unanimous decision, but I was not impressed with Ian Garry, especially with all the hype behind him. You see all this hype behind Ian Garry, but I wasn't impressed. And then he's fighting Gabe Green, who's a gamer, man. He's beat Philip Rowe. He lost a decision to Daniel Rodriguez, but Daniel Rod is no joke. So he's got 2 wins in his last 3 fights. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over on this one. I think I'm gonna go with the over. Yeah, Ian Garry, I'm thinking gonna go over on that one. And I'm not really too confident in betting Ian Garry. I mean, I don't think he's good. I just think he's a little overrated. And the welterweights, the ruthless one, Robbie Lawler versus the Bryan, the fucking barbarian, Bam Bam, Barberena. So, Bryan Barberena, I know you guys probably watched his last fight against Matt Brown. It was a split decision. Some people thought Matt Brown won. Some people thought Bryan Barberena won. It was close. I don't know. However, he's fighting Robbie Lawler, who's coming off a huge win over Nick Diaz. He got that win back, which is crazy. Before Nick Diaz knocked him out when they were kids with a jab. And before that, he's fighting good guys. He lost a decision to Neil Magny, and then before that, he lost to Kobe Covington. Who's no shame in losing to Kobe Covington. I think I'm gonna go with Robbie Lawler on this one. I like Robbie Lawler. I think he's gonna be super. I liked him against Nick Diaz. He looked good against Nick Diaz. He's gonna be, I think, rejuvenated. He's gonna come in hungry. I think a lot of confidence he's gonna have coming into this one, and I think Robbie Lawler should get it done. And minus 130, and I've seen some other websites they had him one minus 120. So even odds, I mean, that's a good bet for Robbie Lawler in that fight. I think Robbie Lawler is going to win that one. Now, this is interesting. Jalin Turner, Brad Riddell. Brad Riddell, if you guys don't know, he's training partners with Adesanya and Volkanovski. Great team up there. City kickboxing guys. And he's fighting Jalin Turner, who's 6'3" at 155. Just a long, lanky dude for that division. And I don't know. So Brad Riddell, he's coming off a knockout loss to Fiziev. And I always tell you guys, I hate betting people who just coming off knockout losses, especially if they've been knocked out viciously. And I think this is going to be a striking match. I think this is going to cause some problems for Riddell, just the height and the reach. Even though I know he's used to sparring with tall guys like Adesanya, but the reach, he's got 6-inch reach advantage and like a 6-inch height advantage. Yeah, Brad Riddell not being a grappler, I think this is going to be a striking match, and it's just going to, I think it should favor Jalin Turner. I mean, I think Jalin Turner should get it done. He's been on a roll, so I'm going to go with Jalin Turner on that one. Now, Sean O'Malley, the Sugar Show. Probably one of the bigger names in the UFC as of right now. Who knows how long that's going to last. If he loses this fight, that hype train is definitely going to go away. However, minus 260 for Sugar Sean against a guy like Pedro Munhoz. That is crazy. I mean, Pedro Munhoz is a no joke, dude. He's a guy who's been in there with everybody. You're talking about Cruz, Aldo, Edgar, Sterling, like Dodson's, like Jimmy Rivera's. He's been in there with everybody, the who's who. And he lost 2 straight to Cruz and Aldo, top guys. Before that, he beat Jimmy Rivera, which is pretty big win there. Sean O'Malley just on a roll. Obviously, he's only lost to Chito Vera, which is a bit controversial with the whole leg injury bullshit. But I think he's on a 5 straight knockouts is Sean O'Malley. However, I don't think he's knocking out Pedro Munhoz. I don't. Pedro Munhoz is a tough dude, man. He's fought everybody, and I think Sean O'Malley, if it's a close fight and this goes to decision, I think the judges are going to give it to Sean O'Malley. The UFC wants Sean O'Malley to win. It's a no-brainer. They're going to give it to Sean O'Malley 100%. Even if Sean O'Malley is losing some of those rounds and it's a close fight, they'll still give it to Sean O'Malley. That's what I think, in my opinion. The fact that he's minus 260, I don't agree with those odds. I don't think Sean O'Malley is going to be able to finish Pedro Munhoz the way he's been doing everyone else. So I'm going to take Sean O'Malley. However, I think Sean O'Malley might win a decision in this one. This fight, don't be surprised if this fight goes over, because not a lot of people think, oh, Sean O'Malley, he's going to one punch him. I mean, I'd be surprised if he's able to one punch Pedro Munhoz, because Pedro Munhoz is for real, man. So Sean O'Malley, I have a feeling I want to see the odds for Sean O'Malley by decision. They're not up on my website yet, but I'm curious to see because that's something I'd be interested in taking. I think Sean O'Malley might just piece you up for 3 rounds and stay on the outside. Up next, we got Sean Strickland, the psychopath, versus Alex Pereira. Now, Alex Pereira, this is the guy that the UFC wants more than anybody to fight Israel Adesanya. This is the fight they want. They want Pereira. They want Adesanya for the title. Then they can make those little videos of Adesanya getting knocked out in kickboxing and have this huge rematch, whatever, rubber match, because I think Pereira won the first 2 and they can hype up the whole thing. However, Sean Strickland is a guy, dude, 25 wins, 3 losses. He's a guy that could end that hype train. You know what I mean? He's lost to only top guys like Kamaru Usman and Ponzinibbio a while ago, and Zaleski dos Santos. Like he's losing to top guys, and he's got 6 straight wins over guys like Uriah Hall, Jack Hermanson. Like Jack Hermanson's no joke, man. Even if it was a split decision, that's a big win for a guy like Sean Strickland. And Alex Pereira, man, if this was a kickboxing match or a striking match, dude, I'll go all in on Alex Pereira. But the fact that, I don't know, man. I don't see this guy's ground game being that good, man. And his first fight, he got his first fight in Jungle Fight 82. I remember he got submitted like fast, or no, not it wasn't fast, but he got submitted. So like, man, you're fighting a guy like Sean Strickland with 28 MMA fights, and you only got 6. And it's pretty simple, the game plan for Alex Pereira: sprawl and brawl. Oh, this is one of those ones I don't know, man, because Alex Pereira, the real fucking deal on the feet, dude. If this fight stays standing, and who knows, Sean Strickland might be dumb enough to stand with this guy. Who knows? This one, I don't know, man. This literally even odds makers have it. This could go either way. I don't know. Like at first, I was like, man, the UFC's gonna want Alex Pereira and Izzy Adesanya. But then Sean Strickland, man, he's been looking good, dude, lately. Yeah, man, Sean Strickland could easily make this a grappling match and win. And then Pereira, only 6 fights, man. I'm nervous. You only got 6 pro fights. Now you're fighting a guy like Sean Strickland, just super well-rounded, Fuck, I don't... Oh, dude, this is a tough one. I'm going to stay away from betting on this one. Yeah, I'm not going to bet this one, but from my prediction... I don't know. It's iffy. Yesterday I'm feeling Pereira. Today I'm feeling Strickland. This is that's the type of fight it is. So I'm gonna go with Sean Strickland on this one. I think 28 pro fights compared to the 6 MMA pro fights, not including kickboxing, obviously. And his grappling should be the deciding factor. I mean, if you're Sean Strickland's corner, you got to be telling this guy, hey, let's grapple, grapple, grapple. So if Sean Strickland's smart, comes out with the right game plan, and I think he could get it done. Now, that being said, he's a bit of an idiot. And who knows if he decides to do that. But I'm not betting on this fight, but I'm going to go with Sean Strickland on this one. Next, we have the co-main event of the evening, which in my opinion, this fight should actually be the main event. So we got the rematch, or the rubber match, Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. So, who am I taking on this one? I'm going to post one of my bets here. I've only made one bet so far because we're still a week out, and I've only been able to make one bet so far that I'm feeling. And that is a parlay with Max Holloway by decision and Izzy Adesanya to more. It's about triple your money, or a little more than triple your money. So I like that because I think I'm gonna go with Max Holloway. I watched the second fight over. I think the judges are fucking stupid, and Max Holloway won that fight. I mean, he dropped Volkanovski a few times, scored knockdowns. I know Volkanovski came in later and scored some takedowns at the end of the round, but end of the fight, sorry, but I think Max Holloway won that second fight, man, and I think Max Holloway is a better striker than Volkanovski. I mean, Volkanovski, he's tough as nails. That's why I think this fight's going to go the decision again. Volkanovski, tough as nails. He's got an iron chin and he's got incredible submission defense, obviously, which you guys seen from the Ortega fight. Max Holloway not being the biggest submission threat, also not being the biggest one punch knockout threat. He's more of a volume striker. Volkanovski has an iron chin. I think he's going to be able to take those shots and he's not going to get submitted, but I think Max Holloway should get it done if the judges get it right this time. Max Holloway is going to be coming super hungry. I believe this is his chance. Like whoever wins this fight could go down as one of the greatest featherweights. So this is an iconic legacy fight. However, if you're the UFC, you're going to want Volkanovski to win because if Max wins, now you got to do a fourth fight and then possibly a fifth fight. So if it's a close fight and it goes to decision, they might give it to Volkanovski because that's what the UFC probably wants. And who knows, they might want to do some champ shit later and have Volkanovski move up. But I don't think he's ready for moving up. I mean, he's only 5'6", and you're going to move up to lightweight and just be completely undersized. He's already undersized at featherweight compared to some of these guys. Yeah, I think Max Holloway should get it done. Max Holloway by decision, I believe. He's going to pick him apart, I believe, for 5 rounds. Is he going to win all 5 rounds? Probably not. It's going to be maybe 3-2 or 4-1, but I hope Max Holloway gets it done. I believe, he should. After watching that second fight, I think Max Holloway can get it done. And, at his odds, plus 160, guys, if you guys see Max Holloway plus 160, those odds will change. I'm telling you, those odds are going to go way down to like plus 130 or plus 120. So if you're feeling Max Holloway, I suggest you bet him soon because those odds are going to get worse. Up next, we got the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Complete fucking mismatch. Don't even know why they're having this fight. This is just horrible. This just shows you they don't have anyone really to put for Adesanya. They got to just give it to Chimaev or something, dude. I'm just kidding, but not yet. But, dude, Jared Cannonier does not belong in there with Israel Adesanya, dude. The only guys who are going to beat Adesanya are guys who are better grapplers. Wicked grapplers. If you're a guy who's a good grappler and you're able to out-grapple Adesanya, you can win. Or if you're like just some super world champion level kickboxer like Alex Pereira, like highest level ever, like, you know what I mean? The highest level you can get, like that's professional kickboxing level, world champion level, like a Badr Hari or, some of those guys, like those K1 dudes or Glory dudes. And Adesanya is one of those pro kickboxers. Like, he's an incredible striker, dude. And Jared Cannonier is a striker himself, and he's just going to be in for a long night. I think he's going to get pieced up, man. And I don't whether Adesanya goes the distance or he knocks out Cannonier. I don't know. I think Adesanya is just gonna work Jared Cannonier. Method of victory, I'm not too sure. He could, knock out Cannonier if Cannonier comes out aggressive because he's gonna get himself knocked out if Cannonier comes out not so aggressive. Adesanya is a guy that'll sort of match what you're matching. You know what I mean? He's a counter striker. So if you take your time, Adesanya will take his time as well. And just see it being a horrible matchup. Jared Cannonier, if he wants to win this fight, he better have, been working on his grappling because that's the only way I see him winning or landing some Hail Mary punch, but I doubt it because Israel Adesanya is hard to land on. So that should be an easy one for your main event, Israel Adesanya. So those are your picks for UFC 276. If you're feeling it, take it. If you're not feeling my bets, don't take it.